Well, hello there, you beautiful, beautiful, amazing, wonderful people. I hope you are fantastic on this wonderful, wicked midweek hump. That's it, baby. It's midweek hump, and you are looking absolutely amazing. We're going to get straight into the meat and potatoes, as this is video 2 of 2. I was going to do 3, but the first video actually went on a bit longer, so I decided to leave it at 2 today. But we're going to just touch on something, because this is what you expect when the prosecution comes out swinging, which we went over in video 1 earlier. If you missed that video, I'll put the link in the pinned comment down below. The media comes out as kind of standing over the shoulder. Do you know what I mean? Now it's our turn. They've had their turn. Now it's our turn. So it says Idaho murders suspect Brian Cobberger's desperate rabbit hole defense blasted in court filing. Pictures that they use, look. Pictures that they use of Brian Cobberger with the thumbs up. Very strategic, and obviously next to the loving pictures of the victims in there. Maybe you should also add pictures of the surviving roommates and maybe their phone behaviour in the aftermath of the crime. Add that in there as well, since you're going all out. Prosecutors in Idaho have fired back at Brian Cobberger's 11th hour attempt to delay his capital murder trial, furiously responding, "It is time." The accused killer is due to go on trial in August, charged with the murders of Katie Gonsalves, Annika Nodal, Ethan Chapin, and Madison Mogan in a horror knife attack in Moscow, Idaho on November 13th, 2022. In a last ditch, this is what fucking cracks me up. In a last-ditch bid to save him from the firing squad, the criminology PhD student's defense has now asked the judge to postpone the trial, citing a recent Dateline episode that revealed bombshell new details and pointed to a potential evidence leak in the case. Well, you can't fucking have it both ways, can you? They've been quite clever how they've worded this, but ultimately they've shot themselves in the foot because there's a complete contradiction in one sentence. They're saying that the recent Dateline episode that revealed bombshell new details and pointed to a potential evidence leak in the case. Well, if it revealed bombshell new details and you are given that more ballast, then it's not potential, is it? It's not potential. How that should read is a recent Dateline episode that revealed evidence that was protected by a court gag order and proved that there is potential prosecutorial misconduct or law enforcement misconduct. And there should be ramifications for that, because we don't want a legal system, especially when it comes to a capital trial, do you know what I mean? Where someone could be executed, you want that to all be above board, especially gag orders, which is court imposed to protect the court. Do you know what I mean? Protect the client, which seems to have been fucked right off. Now, in a new court filing, the state has pushed back, rubbishing claims a delay would make it easier to seat an impartial jury and blasting the defense for going down every rabbit hole. It's not about going down every rabbit hole, though, is it? It's about, was there a leak? Was there a gag order set in place? Why is there a gag order? Why does the gag order even exist? And if I was Ann Taylor, I'd say, right, what I want to ask you, Bill Thompson, get you up here. Why is there a gag order? What is the purpose of the gag order? Why do we put one in place? Which his response will be to protect the integrity of the trial and to protect the individual who is being accused and making sure that he is more likely to get a fair trial. That's the entire purpose of the gag order. Okay? That's it. That's why it's there. That's why it's there. And what we do is we take this so importantly, we consider it so important that we are willing to piss the public off and go against what the public want, and that is transparency, because we understand that transparency can be damaging and could impact his ability to gain a fair trial. So then you go forward and say, right, so the gag order, can we agree the gag order was breached, that it was ignored, that broke down and either someone in the prosecution's team or in law enforcement leaked information protected by the gag order that you, by your own admission, have stated was set in place and should be set in place, and is so important because it protects his ability to obtain a fair trial. And bearing in mind that this leak that goes against all what we've just spoken about has happened this close to trial, is it beyond the realms of of possibility that this could impact him and stop him from getting a fair trial, even if it's just 1%. And we're telling you, we don't have enough time between now and trial, because it's happened so close to the trial, to mitigate this problem. We don't have enough time. And if you missed it earlier, what is mitigation? The lessening or minimizing of the adverse impacts of a hazardous event. And when I spoke about this earlier, and it is with respect of this process, the hazardous event was the Dateline NBC hit piece on Brian Cobberger that's come just a few weeks before the trial is due to start, or the jury process is due to start. And there is more to come. There is more to come. There is a book that is scheduled to come out right basically smack bang on when they're going to start doing jury selection, that will further, it's like a tsunami where the wave comes out, comes in there, bosh, and that's what you're getting in this, right? So defendant's motion amounts to a request for a perpetual continuance so that his counsel can go down every rabbit hole until the defendant, rather than the court, deems himself ready for trial. And again, I spoke about this earlier. This isn't about the defendant so much. This is about his team. And his team has to be ready. And they have literally filed it within court documents saying we're not ready. The state argues that Cobberger's team has had plenty of time to prepare for trial. Well, they haven't, because they haven't had plenty of time to mitigate the damage caused by a breach of the court-instructed gag order. That's the only thing that matters here. That is it. That is it. The rest, you can use it to try and ballast it all you like, and they can argue and go backwards and forwards. But there is a gag order. A gag order is set in place to protect the client of the defense, to make sure that he is able to get a fair trial. There's some other things in there, again, about protecting the procedures used by law enforcement. It's not limited to that protection of the client, but ultimately that is a very important part of that. And it's been broken. It's been broken, and to say that there shouldn't be ramifications for that, you might as well say, well, there's no point in having a gag order. And how would that moving forward look in cases in the future? Because you could just cite back to this, couldn't you? Just say, well, nothing happened in the Brian Cobberger trial, and look at all the eyes that are on it. A massively, massively public trial. There was a flagrant leak of the gag order to media with absolutely no ramifications of it. So what is the point of having them? In a 22-page filing, prosecutors acknowledge there has been intense publicity surrounding the case, and that the Dateline episode does pose challenges at the trial. And that's it. It doesn't matter. You should literally stop there. Even though they will go on to say that there is things set in place to try to mitigate that. And I don't need to read any more, because that is what, in essence, they're saying, is that there's procedures set in place to mitigate this. But the funny thing is they're saying, like, these things happen, and there's situations that we have set in place that can mitigate these risks, but yet the defense team are not able to mitigate anything off the back end of it, and we're supposed to just seemingly ignore that it's happened, completely ignore that it's happened. I don't get it. I don't see how they can get away with it. I don't see how you can have a court-imposed gag order and flat out say that there should not be any ramifications to it. And the fact that they are so hell-bent on trying to just ignore it further proves to me that they were the antagonists of it. They did it. And it seems that if this works and this judge does rule in favour of the prosecution, again, this is fucking scary. This is scary, because this could have been, and I'm not saying it's 100%, but I'm saying that it massively, massively looks like the prosecution constructed this entire situation to work in their favour, to allow leaks to happen close to the trial, to push out into the public eye, to potentially get into the jury pool so they could ride a wave through the court system, because their case is weak and it's not relying on solid evidence as a circumstantial case. And the only difference between a weak circumstantial case and a strong circumstantial case is how much you can get the jury on your side. That's it. It's who can tell the story best. And it ain't even about who can tell the story best on the day. It's who's got the better foundation there. And this Dateline NBC hit piece is a huge, huge win for the prosecution in terms of foundation. Tell me I'm wrong. I'm not. Love you all. Mwah.